right. Good afternoon, everybody in the US, in Europe, or wherever you are around the world. We say good afternoon to you. I'm joining you from Colorado, and I have my good friend Emmanuel Sapalucia. He's joining us from the great Lone Star country. That's a country all by itself, the Lone Star State. And we will also have Dr. Positive, Stephen Kelly is going to be joining us. But those in Monrovia who are joining us on YouTube, Facebook, and any other medium you use, Instagram, we say welcome to the broadcast. Welcome to Liberia'S Rise. And it is, what, a few days, 4 days before Christmas. You expect that we'll be talking about Christmas thing, but we're not going to be talking Christmas thing today. There's something heavy on our heart that maybe something Sapalucia and myself experienced, something Stevie experienced, and we want to talk about it. We want to talk about the meat of what's happening in Monrovia, the policy, the laws. We don't even know how many people know about it, but we say welcome to Liberia'S Rise. And Mr. Sapalucia, introduce yourself, and then we will go right into our broadcast today, friend.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you again. It's wonderful to be back. I know last week I was missing, and I'll try to do what I can do to be on here all the time. But again, I'm Emmanuel G. Sapolucia. We are here to discuss something. And look, he said it is a Christmas thing because during this time, we the younger boys, that's the time we used to hustle. That's the time
Oh, you're right.
we'll
You're
go from
right.
all the various stores to buy our stuff, then and go from real life to whatever market we're going to. So it is a Christmas related hustle when we talk about what we're going to be the topic we're going to be discussing today. But it has to do with that. I think it's an interesting thing, but let us not just look at the law, but let us see what we can do to make our country better. But with that, I say, look, let us have a discussion.
All right, all right. Okay, folks. Well, it's good to have everybody here again. And we say, oh, Dr. Positive, introduce yourself. You're always behind the scenes. So introduce yourself.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. My name is Stephen Keller, aka Dr. Positive. I'm broadcasting from Texas. Also, these guys are saying that I'm not a Yana boy, but I used to sell donut. I used to sell coconut. I used to sell everything my mom gave me to sell. So myself, I had shoes that were also walking on the side. My shoe had a music that it played when it rained. So when it rained, if my son used to play music for me, my colleague used to tease me with that shoe. So we all had our hustle, but this topic is serious and it's coming somewhere where you got, like you guys were saying, Christmas is here. Every family is looking for that daily bread, and there's a ban to stop children from selling on the streets. There's a negative and positive to this, and I would like to go into it with you guys too.
Stephen, we'll get to the meat of the show, but just based on your introduction, the Bassa people, I grew up in Grand Bassa, so I always claim Bassa, right? The Bassa people used to have a parable to say that the liar can say, my witness across the river. So your Oma right there in Texas, we can bring her on the show, and she will tell you that you never sold donut, you never sold coconut, you never push wheelbarrow to go to different campus.
Sharif, let me tell you something. Of all my mom children, my mom had 11 children, right?
Yeah.
Of all of them, I was the best seller. Okay. I was the best negotiator. I was the best person she sent to the market to buy her food. So I used to know how to negotiate with the woman in the market. When I go sell her donut, I was the top seller for all of it. None of my brothers didn't really sell donut like the way I did because I was so good at it. The woman never even bothered to give it to them again because.
So what we'll do on the show today before the show ends.
And one last thing, Sharif. One last thing. That's where I took my sincerity from. I will sell that donut and make sure everything gets sold. I never ate anything. Only the one that Omar gave me.
That brand politician sincerity.
Yeah. So I'm telling you. Seriously.
I beg you. Somebody said, "Let our show on the road." But we got Sapalucia brother joining us. Sapalucia brother joining us from Totota. Dennis,
yes.
Dennis. I used to make fun of people. Dennis, I got to pick on you today. I used to make fun of Bassa people because I used to say Bassa people got two first names. They are first and the last name. You'll get somebody named Bob Gray. You'll get somebody named Moses Isaac. Bassa people. But look at our brother Dennis. He got two first names. Dennis Ben. Don't pay that in there. But Sapalucia, our brother.
No, yeah, that my brother there. It's just that sometimes our people can want fit into society, so they gotta do what they gotta do to fit into society. So that's all I can say about that. But
All right,
that's
but
that's
Dennis,
that's
thank you for joining us today. It's going to be a good discussion. Thank you for joining us. It's going to be a good discussion, brother. Don't mind me putting more on you, my man. I just let her joke. But yeah, so guys, let's get this show. Dennis laughing, but let's get this show on the road, y'all. Let's get the show on the road. Basically, though, there was something that caught our attention, and before we get started, Sabalusi, I know you want to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to your friends and your friends and your people in Bon County. So give a shout.
yes.
Say that in
So
Spanish.
and it's great that my brother Dennis joined us. He's the city mayor for Totota. So we want to say
Wow.
Wow,
bravo
man, you
Zulu
gotta
and
take
thank you
it.
for joining us.
Ben, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I take my joke back. I'm sorry, my man. Before I start the Bon County,
He's an
I
honorable
really
man.
No, no,
And
no.
let me use this show too. I mean, yeah, since you brought it up, this guy, he's one of those guys that is being innovative in as a city mayor because this guy don't really get paid, but he's been very innovative in Toyota. He's doing everything he can do to bring Toyota alive. So
Oh
I
man, we
want to
gotta
say
bring the
thank
man
you
on
so
the
much,
show. We gotta bring the man on the show.
Dennis, for
Yeah.
yeah, okay, yeah, and I will do that.
Mhm.
I will bring Dennis on the show so that we can talk about what we can do to promote Toyota on this show. But I want to say thank you, Dennis, for joining us. Merry Christmas to our people in Bon County. This is your song. Kalong kemulongange na kwa kemu na nyemu. Uncle go baila die. So kwago li ne kwai ngwango hui angwe kai. Merry Christmas amoyin kaka. Kwa moyin kwa ner ku ke no honga ner ku li na ka anwanga. Akari dene ihe ku program jo ambai wule de ipona ge ipa kwa guluno. Now, again, Merry Christmas to all my brothers and sisters back home and everybody in Liberia. Mama Liberia, we miss you, and we hope you have a joyous and a prosperous new year coming up.
All right, so Steven, this is why I'll pick on Sabalusia. What the man said, what are the man were crossing me? The man was telling me our logo. I don't know. Because
Dennis will tell you.
the only person that can verify if the story that true. Because the man was struggling. He can't even pronounce some of the words.
I know.
So he was speaking American Pele. But
I
when
know.
but Steven, go ahead. Get a
All
shout
right, all right.
out.
All right.
Get a shout out.
Ni nyobe ni are dubo ni avoka se nkan be mwen o ni mosi ni be kon mosi ni adie me se ni are dubo na ni mosi ni be kon nyon ba be get the same keji no bo be mo se nje nyon ni anyo show nyon bo de comprendre ni anyo wala du e bo de play marketing amunde so nyon je change so John bedi be get blue get that get change onu yi mo blo kwa je so I be blue.
Okay, man, I'm impressed. You know what? But some of the words that Steven used, I resonate with it. So I think Steven was telling the true Basa.
Yeah, I feel sapology I know.
We're gonna do it from Bassa now. Well, I ain't gonna fire the two from Bassa. We're gonna make sure you need to go for Kimon. You from Bassa?
No, I'm being represented fully here, right? My papa at the Sapolosia side, so Sapolosia representing my past people. So the papa they are my people from my past. I can say Steven, you didn't represent us. So
I beg you, Steven, I beg you, one star show. No better than Keller.
You said no man in Keller. Listen, Sherry, let's start the distraction. Let's get the show on.
Let's start, yes.
Yeah.
Let's get a show on the roll. Let's get a show on the roll. So, okay.
Sherry, speak vowel, man.
My man, let's get a show on the roll. I'm the host. But no, gentlemen, on a serious note, let's get a show on the road. So basically,
let's go.
Yeah, the first thing on the docket today, we came across. I was reading through, and I came across a report from the U.S. Department of Labor, and they have all of this information regarding child labor law. And then you start tracking it, you start chasing it, then you come across the United Nations. Suppose it doesn't seem like the United Nations getting involved in a lot of things. But the United Nations is saying, okay, well, Liberia, you are not following the child labor laws, you're not following child labor guidelines, and all of these different things come in place. And then in the middle of the week, I got this report from Steve. Steve actually sent me this report that says, Liberia is trying to make a law where they're going to stop young people from selling on the streets. But gentlemen, I want to start the conversation from this particular standpoint. Sapolusi, I want to bring you in first. We look at the 2024 MCC report. Now, I know you didn't like that report. You don't like a lot of things on it. There were some things that you like. And Stephen, you also look at that report. And when we look at the report, when it came down to education, when it talked about primary education, it says the number was very skewed. I think it was in a single digit that talked about completion of school. Young people were not completing school, especially young girls. They were not completing school. And so as a result, that number was very low. And I know one of the things that the president have actually tried to do, whether you say or not, is the fact that he wants to increase the level of education or literacy in the country. Let's just put it that way. And in order for them to do that, I think based on that report, they are coming from there. They say the only way we can get these children in the classroom is to actually bring about a law or bring about a ban that says young children should not be in the streets selling. Because if they are not selling, they will be in the classroom. They will be getting some form of education. Do you think that's a good angle? I mean, that's just my thought process. I didn't speak with anyone who have insider information to tell me this is why. But could it be that maybe it is based on that report that the government is not coming and say, look, we want to increase our number when it comes to education literacy, so let's go ahead and just get the children in the classroom?
So you see, Sherry, again, like you rightly stated, not that I don't like the United Nations, I don't like any of these people, but I don't think they should be the one making decision for us.
Sure.
If we make a decision, it's based on how it benefits us and what we see wrong that we're trying to correct, right? The law in itself, the way it is written, is not bad. However, I believe before we can start putting laws in place, let us first identify the root cause. Let us address the root cause, and if we do address the root cause, then you can put those laws into place. This law, I have read through it because it's not new. It's not something that is new. It's something that started, in fact, the discussion started in 2007 when they brought another Labor Law Act in and children were under there. And then 2015, they put this law into place about child labor law and stuff. But just imagine from 2015 to now, they have still not defined what they consider hazardous law. Or hazardous work for underage kids. They have not defined a lot of things. Now, I can understand the Firestone because I have seen that in Firestone myself. I have gone to Firestone and I've seen kids helping their parents to meet their quota. And because Firestone giving these people the huge number of work or hectare to tap that they know one person cannot do. So what the parent will forcibly have to do is either hire somebody else and share that money with them, or if they bring their underage kids to work with them. Now, in those circumstances, I think it should be banned that, if Firestone was the one hiring those kids, but where the child is assisting their parent because of the economic status or the economic constraint that parent is facing, I think the government should first of all address those issues, like providing jobs, right? Let us provide jobs that our people can have a livable wage. Let us bring it to Monrovia, for example, because there where you see most of these things happening. I live in Monrovia, and my parents is making $75 a month. We are four siblings. He wants to send us to the best school. We know public schools are not well funded by the government. They are underfunded. They are not given the right or school supplies and stuff. Parents will even though it's government school, and I'm speaking there because I taught at one of the government schools. I taught at G.W. Gibson High School. I knew that in the school, even though they said no school fees, no tuition, but the school fee were higher, or the school's fee and requirement were higher than SDA school that I graduated from a few years earlier. Yeah. Right? Because every year, students have to pay for armchair that they were not getting. They had to pay for all kinds of tissue, rim of paper, exam fees, sensor, all kinds of things. They pay for all these things. When you add all those things, it's almost every year. and then they got to pay for homework, they got to pay for quiz, they got to pay for exam.
Don't
If you
forget
add those money
pamphlet.
to,
Pamphlet, you used to
yeah, they got
charge
to pay
the
for
children for
pamphlet.
pamphlet.
Yes, they got to pay for pamphlet. Even if they got a textbook, they got to pay for pamphlet. If you put all that money together, it was still at the time 2000. I'm talking 2001, 2000, 2001, 2003 to 2003. Let's say 2000 to 2003. That money was more than the student the tuition that we were paying at SDA. So at that, a teacher, a classroom teacher making $75 or $100 a month, which they're not even getting on time, cannot in any way foot the bill to say, hey, 4 kids to in a good school, they will end up in a public school that is not really well funded,
So
right?
I want to really get to the point of your. I mean, I know you carry. You have a narrative. I think I'm following you. But for our
Yeah.
viewers,
So my point is, before the government can implement this kind of program or can put a ban, you must first resolve online cost. Then you can implement these things.
okay, so Stephen, let me bring you in the same question. Let me come with the same question. You know, the government is actually anticipating. I mean, the law has been on the book. They want to go to the fact that they want to stop young children from selling in the streets and just being the vendors all over. I mean, look, you and I, we've been to Monrovia, and as you're driving, whether it's coming from downtown or whether you're coming from ERWA going in town, you see young people in the middle of the road, you know, just selling, jumping in front of cars, and all of these things. And you find these kids doing this on school days. So it's not like these kids going to school during the day, I mean, during Monday through Friday, and then on the weekends they go and sell. It's happening every day. So there are a lot of young people who are not in the classrooms, who are on the streets selling to be able to help in the home. Is the government wrong? Is the government wrong to come up and say, look, we want to go ahead and stop young people from selling in the street. We want to bring them in the classroom. Is that a bad thing?
Well, Sharif, this is a tough question. And since we are advocating for Liberia to rise, we need systems in place, right? We
Sure.
need things in place for the country to get better. So I will give kudos to the government to say thank you for making this, for trying to implement this ban that been in place since 2011. But I would say it's premature, right? It's
Okay.
premature in that you and myself went to school in Monrovia, right? In the center of Monrovia. You went to SDA, I went to Monrovia College, right? How many government schools are in each district that every student that is born in that district have access to a government school, right? That's the first question the government should answer, right? If they cannot answer that question, then they need to make sure they have schools in all those districts in a walking distance, since the government don't have buses for children to go to school. Because I used to walk to school when I was in elementary school, but once I got to high school, Tottenham High was not available for me, so I had to go to Monrovia College. Or in fact, I would change that around. I actually wanted to go to Monrovia College, so I didn't really consider Tottenham High. I never wanted to go to Tottenham High. Monrovia College uniform was what I liked, and that's what I wanted to go to. So I purposely went to Monrovia College, right? But if it was an option, Tottenham High would have been closer to me from the airfield, but it was still a walking distance, like an hour walk for me to get to Tottenham High, right? So the question here is, if the government is not putting in these measures to prevent children, to enable children to go to school, then it will be impossible to make that thing work. Because, for example, let's take a child like me, 20 years ago, I was on the airfield. Right? If my mom didn't have money to pay my way to go to school in to SDA or GW Gibson or Tottenham High, basically I had to walk to school. Sure. Right? If I couldn't walk to the school that I was going to, I had to pay my way. Right? So if the Oma don't have money to pay my way, basically then I don't go to school. You understand? So how many parents are put in that situation right now as we speak? How many parents can afford the school fees for their children? Right. So in a nutshell, right, if the kids are going to school, if the government say, all right, all children should go to school Monday through Friday, so and so time, and then Saturday through Sunday you can sell whatever you want to do, then it's fine. But I think putting a blanket law down to say even 18 years. So the one last thing I would say, Sharif, even from 18 years down, right? They say 18 years down, the government is not even brave to put in measures to stop this age of consent for sex for children. They don't have that in place yet. Then they want to say, all right, you who are helping your mom and pa to sell donut, stop selling donut, but it's okay for you to have sex at 13 years old. It's okay for you to have sex at 12 years old. So I think the government need to look at the big picture.
Yeah. So again, want to welcome everybody to the broadcast. Dr. Sigwe Beko, welcome back to the show. Hopefully, you can join us full time here on our Sunday broadcast. Dennis, we say thank you for joining us as well, and those who are joining us on Facebook, YouTube, thank you for joining us. So with the discussion on the way right now is this new. I don't want to call it new. It is the law that we have on the books to ban young people from being in the street, selling, and escaping the classroom. Now, say for example, in the U.S., if you have your child living in your home, and that kid is not going to school, man, you will have someone visit you to your home and say, "Hey, why is Sharif not in school? What's going on?" You will have someone visit you because there's a system in place. Stephen is talking about system. There's a system in place tracking all of this. But in Liberia, Mr. Sapalucia, I think I'm tracking with you guys. In Liberia, for example, let's say the law is passed, or we have this law on the books, and Mamusu decide that her son will not go in the classroom, or she can't affordability is an issue. She can't send her children to school. Who is there to track if this kid is going to school or not? And so if they can't track that, they have no way of knowing, is this just a useless law? Because you can say, the kid should not be in the street selling, but if the schools are not available, like Dr. Berko was saying here, Dr. Berko is actually going to the point. If the government wants to put those laws in place, they should have classrooms for the children to go to. Now, if affordability is an issue, not every parent can send the children to private school, and the government schools are not functional. How does this law even help? Is there economic setback? With you.
And that's what I'm talking about, right? That's just proving my point in that you have the measure that I see in the United States is because one, there are a system. Let's say if I'm in my district here where I am, if I'm not working, my wife is not working, no one else is working, there's a program in place to subsidize us and our kids or our children and make them go to school. There is a bus system that's going to take them to school. There is a feeding program that's going to provide food for them while they're in school. We don't have that in Liberia. First of all, even those that work for government, the teachers that work in here in the United States in the classroom, they are making livable wages. In Liberia, the classroom teacher, whereas most even private school teachers, some of them not making livable wages. The government school for them is even worse. They're not making livable wages. So how can you tell me that my son should? I'm not saying the law is bad. I'm just saying we have to solve the underlying cause first. We must make it available. We must make sure that those people that we're going to hold accountable, because according to the law, December 16, 2025, they should start. Even though, and that's one of the problems that I have with it, even though they have not defined what a high risk job is domestically, because those are wording in the law. They have not defined those yet. So you're going to implement something that you have not. So what are you going to charge me with? What law have I broken when you cannot define the scope of job you're talking about? So there are so many things that is still need to.
Under the child labor law. So basically, they're going with the child labor law, and we're going to get to it. So I believe make a point.
So even under the child labor law, it's not defined still. That's what I'm telling you. It's not really defined what a domestic, what they consider high risk or medium risk or to the child. Even though they say 15 years old, because that's the age it said, 15 years old and under, right? That's the minimum age. 15-year-old you can work, but you might work only 2 hours a day. What does that mean? When I was growing up, 2 hours, even the house chore is not 2 hours. You're talking, and they got to define the domain. I'm not really focusing on the corporate or employment and stuff like that. I'm not focusing on that because I think that should not even be considered at all. We shouldn't even be discussing that. It should be banned from the beginning. But I'm talking about those domestic chore that we're talking about, because to us, when we were growing up, while it is true, it was not in my best interest but it was something that we had to do to survive as a family, to contribute to the family. It was not something that it was not a choice. Don't be realistic. And most parents here in Liberia, it's not a choice. No parent in their right mind will have the resources they need for their children to go to school and they take them and put it in the street. Sherry, it's not possible unless that person is just cruel. But the reason most of these parents are doing it is because they are constrained. Like I said, a civil teacher with $150, he can't feed 4 children. You pay rent, you pay mortgage, but you got somebody sitting in the Capitol building who making this, somebody who writing the law, making $15,000, and they still getting scratch car, they still getting transportation, they still getting rent pay, but the classroom teacher don't get rent pay, even though they getting $150 a month, he don't get his rent pay, he don't get scratch car, he don't get assistant, he don't get anything. He just getting $150, they take their tax, then they tell you say you're on your own. So if we want to discuss this, let us find a solution, establish the fundamental first, that let the teachers get the livable wage, and then we can hold them accountable. But if you can't provide those environment, I don't think it's necessary at this time.
All right, so Steve, let's start with your Yana boy years, because you brag that you used to sell donut, used to do all of those. And no, guys, on a serious note, each of us here on the platform, each of us, we have some tough challenges in Liberia, and and I think this is why I really like Dr. Orita's point that she was making. And our walk is a walking distance, But basically,
we did that. We did that every day.
Yeah.
Doctor, we did it. I
Yeah.
live on Front Street. I live on Front Street. I used to walk from Front Street. I don't know if those of you guys know Monrovia. I used to walk from Front Street, closer to the Ducal Palace area there. Walk from there, go on camp. Yeah, go Camp Johnson Road to SDA High School. I did that. I don't know how many days.
So when I put out one down,
on Somalia Drive. On Somalia Drive, I used to walk all the way to SDA.
Then listen, the doctor asked me for my question, said our water, the real water. So let me tell you my own. I was living on the airfield, Gene Springfield. Anybody know Gene Springfield? I went to school, Monrovia College. Luckily for me, I had somebody to take me to school in the morning, right? But if I don't have transportation after school, this is how I walk home. I told my friend I was going to Jalatan to see my auntie, right? Then I walk to Jalatan, right? I walk to Jalatan to see my auntie. Then when I finish seeing my auntie, then I walk to 14th Street and I have another auntie. I tell the other auntie, oh, I just stopping right here to see my other auntie. Before you know it, I'm on the airfield. That's how I used to walk. Shamelessly, because I always care for families. Yeah, no, you have to use.
The thing about life is a shame, but basically,
we're struggling.
Yeah, so basically, let's get.
You have to find story in Asapolosia. You can't just tell a friend that you're walking. You got to find story.
I didn't have problem. We ain't got no story.
I didn't have problem with that.
Yeah. So here's the thing. You took Sapolosia from the show. Why you?
No, I didn't touch nothing. The man, yeah.
You kicked your man because okay. So, but Steve, honestly, I want to come back to you. Let's go back to our hustle days. We start talking about it now. When each of us can go back, look, I wrote a whole book. I'm not here to promote my book, but I wrote a book, and it became a good seller, and I won 2 awards for the book. And it was just nothing. It was just about my own personal life, my struggles in Monrovia, my life in Monrovia, all of that. And so, basically, though, everybody read the book. My American friends that read the book, they'll say, no, this is a lie. There's no way you, as a child, you will go and start selling in the morning. And then when the donut is not finished, your parents will tell you to take it to school with you and during recess and sell it. So I said, no, seriously, true story. That happened. And so we all
don't be short.
Yeah, don't be short. No, so there, if you see, I don't know how to play football, it's not because I can play past Lucia. But it's not because I was not good. But sometimes reset time, your friend is playing football, there's no way for you to play football. You got to sell. Donut. So we all have stories that we can tell. But let's go back. Was that a good thing for you or a bad thing? Because I want to see the way the government is actually trying to put this law in place. Is this to the benefit of the young people or to their disadvantage? Because I can go back and look at my story and say, look, what that taught me, it taught me responsibility. It taught me the ethics of hard work. It taught me discipline. There are a lot of things I can say and talk about my struggle days. So let me hear from you, Stevie, and I'll go to Sapolosia.
All right. So, Sharif, basically, I don't know if I told you guys, I lost my father when I was 5 years old, right? So my mother was left with all of us, all the children, basically 10 of us to take care of, right? So in that, basically my mom was traditionally educated, right? So she never went to our formal school. So all she knew was hustle to make her donuts, to go to the bush and get coconut and bring it for us to sell. So when she bring it, she would send it to some of her friends that had market already to sell. But at times, people would do what they can. They would cheat you here and there. So the best thing she could do was when our coconut come, she bring it and say, Steven, go and sell it. This is how much it is, sell it and come. So after school, sometime I had to go sell that coconut. And then sometimes we'll put it somewhere on the airfield that they had a almond tree. So now we'll go under the almond tree and sell it. But somebody had to be there. You understand? And then, like I was telling you guys, I was one of the best at this. So the old man never even dealt with any of my brothers and sisters. Once those things came, I was the one selling it. So I would sell the coconut on during the week. If she went on the farm to bring stuff, I would sell those during the week. And then on the weekend was when I sold donuts. And this is how I did it. I found where these guys were building houses. I found where people were doing things physical, and I took my donut there to the football field and stuff like that. So I had strategic areas that I went to sell my donuts. So mine was different, unlike this time around in Monrovia, where the kids are just floating on the street, which is dangerous for their life and things like that. I, on the other hand, I did mine strategically. So I went in key areas that people were constantly doing work, and that's where I sold my stuff.
Yeah, I want to focus on what you gather from there, because thing like the good doctor is also asking this question: if for some reason if your child is selling on your front porch, is that going to be a violation of the law? So we don't know.
So Sherry, let me answer your question, right? You say, was it a bad thing or was it mentally demeaning for all of us, right? So for me, I saw as a challenge, but we all had to step up at some time in our life to help our parents, right? Knowing the situation that Oma was going through, somebody had to help her. So that was my way of helping. But I was ashamed all the time because when I go to school, my friends will say, your friends see you selling, right? Then you kind of like, all right, he's so poor that he have to sell after school and all that kind of stuff. Children talk. And then like I was telling you guys, you don't have enough. You have things that is not like pleasant enough. Your shoes is eating up, all those stuff. So you go to school, you're still ashamed because you while you're struggling, the money is still not enough to pay for all the things you need, the essentials you need to go to school. So it was shameful, it was tiresome, but again, I think those are some of the things that gave some of us strength.
But you're not answering my question, because I heard a host. I want to go to Sapalucia. I really want to know.
I said it was shameful. What else?
Okay. So that's your point.
Yeah, it was shameful.
So you see, Sherry, for me, I have a different way of looking at, almost to compare to yours of looking at it. Yes, on the overall, I think the people that I live with, if they had enough, I don't think they were going to put me in that condition to make me mature ahead of time. However, looking at the situation that we're under, the circumstances that we're facing at the time, yes, I had to do that. And that also, and I'm grateful that it happened to me, and I was never ashamed. Because I felt that I would contribute to that family, right? Now, what it did for me was it taught me survival. Because I can tell you, when the war came in 1990, those skills that I learned living with people and selling for them as a young child, I used the same skills to sponsor myself in SDA. Because at that time, I had no parent. After the war came, those people that I lived with, I left them in 1991, 92, and came to Monrovia among my older cousins and brothers, and we started struggling. So the skills that I learned as a child was very useful for me as a teenager. And that today is still in me. That discipline is still in me, to know how to manage my money, to know how to navigate my way through tough times. So I take that benefit. Now, is it a good thing for everybody to go through? I don't think so. Looking at our condition, looking at the world, where the world is heading now, that may not be a suitable thing, especially the risk they're taking now. If we look at our time, my time, I was not going between cars. My time was different. I was living in Broadville, so the place was much more quieter, right? So I could move from a house to a house and other places. But if we look at the situation today, it's more dangerous in that you see the children navigating vehicles. You got now you got the motorbikes that are involved, right? So those are high risk. Now, I'm not backing that it's good for a child to be in the street at this time. But if we really want to implement these laws, let us make sure we're solving the main problem that causing these people to put their children in the street. That's my concern.
Okay.
But
So
it's something
Sherry-
a very viable lesson.
Yes.
Sherry,
Okay.
before you switch the topic, right? All these laws, when we pass them, I seem to see that it's only based on Morovia. Can you tell a town chief, can you tell a lady in the village, right? And say, don't let your child come to the farm with you. Are we looking at that, or we're not even considering those kids in the rest of the country as children of Liberia? Is that what the government is saying also? Because if you're passing this blanket law, is it only for Monrovia? If it's for Monrovia, then I have serious problem with it, because somebody shared a video with me of a village school that is mud building, right? And the children don't even have chairs in that mud building that they are going to school in. So, like Sapolosia said, there's an underlying problem, which is lack of facilities, lack of schools for people. And then our sister just posted, no jobs for the parents, right? No jobs for the parents. So how do you expect the people to feed themselves? If they don't have any other help, their children are there, I will use my child over using somebody else and paying them to do the thing that they did, that they have to do to help all of us survive. You know, like I was happy to help my mom, but like Sapolosia is saying, from childhood, this bluffing thing, I started bluffing way when I was small. So me and the bluffer Joe, after going to sell donut, then I put on my clothes and I started walking, you know, and stuff like that. It was kind of tough, but I had to find my way. So the small traffic I get to, that's the benefit too from it. But it was for the personality I had, right? For the personality I had to be selling donut and all those stuff, it wasn't something that I wanted to do, but I had to help my old man.
No, I mean, gentlemen, look, you guys, I appreciate your sincerity telling your story, because look, right now we have some young kid in Liberia, some young girl, young boy, maybe coming across our program, listening to your story, they will be like, oh my goodness, I want to be in America. I want to be like those guys on the show, blah, 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 right? But they have no idea how you got there. So telling your stories actually help people to see perspective, to understand the big picture, that it was not, you didn't just make it here because you came from a family, you came from the Keller family, no, you got here. Basically, you started hustling from the time you were a young kid. And like Sapolucia said, and like I think Steve, you're saying the same thing. You learn valuable lesson. Yes, it is risky now because you're seeing kids jumping between cars and all of those things. That's not what we did. But even though it is risky right now, but those kids are still learning skills. Here is my concern, Sapolucia, before I change the show, before I change the direction. Here's my concern. Too much of government involvement into people's life, especially when you are not providing the services for the people, it is not a good thing. We did a broadcast here when it came to our traditional societies, you know, government involvement into too many of these structures that have been in place, that have been functioning properly for years. And you just come in and say, we're going to cut it off with nothing else. You're going to be like the Republican in the country that said, we're going to cut out Obamacare, and they had nothing to replace it with. And, you know, I'm telling you, when you don't have a plan, it makes it very, very difficult. That's just my thing. The government can come in place and say, look, yes, we don't want the children to be on the street. But, you know, here's my problem. I know I'm all over the place, gentlemen. I will get myself right.
It's okay.
The government started with the adults. They started with the people in Douala. They say, oh, the people can't be selling on the sidewalk. The people said, build us a market. We will go in there. You can't build a market. And when the people have that market on the road, you send your MCC people to come and sweep them and take that goods. And sometimes when you take those people goods, Sapolucia, you myself experienced, I was selling plenty of goods. These guys will come and raid the road. They take your goods. You got to pay them money to get your own market back from them. And sometimes when you get your market back, you're already short because they take some of your goods. You're already short. Yeah. And so now they want to do this with these kids. Not everybody, unfortunately, in any society, even in the great United States of America, not everybody makes it succeed in the classroom. There are some people, they might just learn skill. They might go to technical school. The government can come in and facilitate it and say, look, those of you, at least the minimum requirement, get a high school certificate. And there are some of these kids that jump in between cars. Those kids are selling during the day because that's what I did during the day. I would sell during the day. In the afternoon, I went to school. So some of those kids jumping between cars, don't think they are not in school simply because you see them jumping between cars to sell plantain chips or sell cold water. They're going to school. They're doing something. They are hustling the way we did. And so I just want to say, I think there can be a better way to put this. The government should have system in place. Once you have that system in place, then you can go about and say, look, we don't want kids selling. And if you're going to sell, these are the risky jobs, or if you're going to work, these are the risky things you can't work with. In America, they tell you, there's nobody going to hire a 18-year-old kid or 17 or 16-year-old kid to operate a forklift in a warehouse. You're not going to do that. They tell you it is hazardous. It is risky. You're not going to hire a 14, 15-year-old kid to go and use a certain type of saw in a woodwork shop. It's not just going to happen. They define it. And so we need a definition. So, Sapulisa, I want you to make a point on this before we kind of switch over to the next round here.
No, yeah, it's true, and that's my point. That's my initial point I made. I said before you start putting laws, define what you really mean about high-level hazardous job, minimum hazardous job, and the 2 hours description. Have a definition where the law is not a new law. It being in place since 2015. So you have almost, in fact, 10 years actually, 10 years to review this law, define, do your own research, look at Monrovia, use Monrovia as a reference point. Go to the various cities in the country, the various top cities in the country, and do your evaluation. Go into some of the villages and see what the people are using their kids for, and come up with data. Unfortunately for us in Liberia, we don't believe in this data thing. With everything we want to do is based on guesstimate, and they do it only because somebody on the outside say, "Hey, if you do this, I will give you this amount of money." Then we're ready to react. That is not a plan. You can't run a country like that, and that's how most of our government runs. They run based on reaction from the American statement, the United Nations statement, or somebody's statement. Look at your people. Look for their needs. Forget about what America tells you and stop chasing American money. You have your resources already. Use those resources to develop your people. Then you will not have to wait for American money. Because there were almost all of our laws are made based on those things. Based on what America say, what the United Nations say, or what some external factor is saying. Not based on what the needs of our people are. It is about time we start looking within our country and finding solution for ourselves and forget about the external forces.
All right.
Stephen, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I'll just say something quick and then just to support, then you can switch the topic. So, folks, if you want to participate, you can call in at 682-503-9906. We want to hear your voice and your contribution as well. We see in the comments, keep the comments going, share for us, please, and follow if you're not following us. But Sharif, I just wanted to add this, right?
Mm-hmm.
What statistic was done in Liberia to find out how many children are selling on the street, and then the reason why these children are selling on the street, right?
Yeah.
That's one question I would like to ask the government. Then from there, I would like to ask a representative of those districts to say, hey, how many of your children in your district are not going to school, right? That simple data, if the government can provide it for us, that will help all of us to shut up, because in that way, you can say, all right, the government did their due diligence. They know that the children have schools within walking distance. Their mom and pa don't need to send them to school to make money. They don't need to send them on the street to sell to make money. The school is free, right? The schools are free, so they don't need to pay school fees, right? So all these things are in place for them. So our people, they are endangering our future leaders. They are endangering our future community leaders and putting them on the street to sell. So at least when the government come up with that kind of data, and then they can at least back their claim for what the reason they're doing this. But if they just decide to do it just because these kids are on the street and somebody don't like it when the president convoy is passing with his 15 or 20 cars, you want all of them to pass on speed, I think it's wrong.
Let me just make a point. Let me make a point.
Still may get in trouble.
Yeah, Sherry. Let me just make a quick point.
Hit somebody one time. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, let me make a quick point. And let me just this is not a hard thing to do, right? Let me give you an example that we did, my organization did in Carisburg. And in fact in Monrovia too, because we have few students in Monrovia. What we did was this. After we did our own studies, and this is just a very little organization, two-man organization, we found out that look, our students are going to school. Okay, we pay their school fee, we buy all the uniform. But what is our other external factor? So what we started doing was giving them some stipend every month. At the time we started with $25, right? But when the COVID-19, we dropped it down to $10. What we're telling the parent is, look, we know times are hard, but based on where they live, especially those are in areas where we're getting $10, those in Monrovia will get $25 for the child, not for the parent. But we told them this is the child contribution to the home, so you don't have to send them out, right? So now, if we took a student from our scholarship, we had a reason, but we found a solution to the problem so that the parents don't send them out. So if we, a little organization, is doing that, how can these people with all the mind they have in the country can't think about the same thing?
Well, I mean, Sapoli said that's such a good point. I think that is such a good thing to do. The lunch assistance program that we have in the United States, for example, when kids go into school, they have free lunch and all of these, they got people, they got advocates, they got people who are lobbying to make sure these things happen, right? And so apparently that's what our representative is supposed to do. They're supposed to be working in the interest of their people, but unfortunately, that's not the case. And because of that, sometimes, like you said, because we can track all of the origin of this particular law. It goes as far back as the United Nations child labor law, the U.S. State Department, the United States Department of Labor. It falls under it. You can see U.S. saying, Liberia, you guys, your children, So we listening to people. We are listening to the external factors. And when they say jump, we'll jump, because if they give us $500,000 a year, they give us $1 million a year, that's money we think we cannot have from managing our own resources in the country. And so I agree with each and every one of you guys, but I want to go to another story that have been making headlines, but I don't want to gloss over this story because this is me on for our broadcast today. If there's anything each of you guys wanted to say regarding this topic that you have not said, or you want to reserve it for your closing, I'm okay to transition. If you guys are okay with transition.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. So another story that was making big news in Monrovia this week too was the whole idea. This concept of fighting drugs in Liberia, fighting drugs, and I just look at it to be sometimes it's just muff talk. That's how we used to say in Monrovia, just muff talk. The action is not there to support that the government is really serious about drug fighting. Sometimes when they go and arrest somebody who got 5 kilograms of marijuana for that personal use, they make a big story out of it. But the person that they know who is bringing the drug in the country, when that person, even if they sniff it, we never hear of it, because they go in that closed door meeting. That person gave them money, and before you know it, that drug is right back in the market. They arrest it and give it back. It's the catch and release. They do that. So I'm tired of hearing this story about drugs. But we just couldn't overlook it. There's one of your influencers in Monrovia, Bucky Raw. I mean, I know some few members of his family who they say he was caught with drugs. I don't know the validity of the story. I have not gone deep into it. But again, they tried to make him a public example, where the day he was scheduled to do his show, he's a musician in Liberia. The day he was to release a show, that was the day he was arrested. And so people are saying this was a setup. Everybody got a different story about it. So I just want to hear your take on this story. Is this an old story? Is this just Liberia trying to get our attention and say, hey, we're doing something with the drug issue, when you and myself know they have no aim of eradicating drugs in the country? Sabalusi, I'm going to start with you, Sarah.
So no, you see the drug issue in Liberia, to me, from what we have, I think we have had this discussion before regarding the drug issue. The government, in my opinion, is not really serious to fight drugs. Okay, it is a political, political stunt, in my opinion, and popular stunt, just to put something out there and we'll make noise and then they shut down again. Now I don't know this individual, but I read the newspaper, the news about him when he was arrested. Some people say it's politically motivated, but you got different, depending on where you're from, you got different view about it. But looking at drugs in Liberia, we have said it before. If you really want to combat drugs, it's not a hard thing. You got to be sincere about it. You got to be genuine about it. They know who the importers are. That's where you start from. Start with the importers. If you cut off the snake head, the snake is dead. So all these things is just again political stunt to show you I'm doing something but I'm not doing anything. When you have people who in the system that are trying to fight, then you remove them and you bring somebody else. How many times have they changed the leadership of the LDA, the Liberian Drug Enforcement Agency? So I think it's a joke. I don't really want to waste my time because we know what the problems are. If you have really seen in the last few months in Liberia, most of the people they are arresting for drugs related issues are the poor people, not the money people. And they know most of the people over there, they're government officials, some of them using it. Okay, some of them are using it. Where are they getting it from? Those are the people that's supposed to start the fight. But you got people just using our people as scapegoats and making fool out of them and say, oh, create jobs. If you create jobs, we were in Liberia. Those days when you and I were growing up, no young man who were going to school, were trying to look for drugs. Nobody wanted to be affiliated with drugs. But they know what the problem is. Again, we have to address the issue based on the underlying factor. Until we can start tackling those issues, we're just wasting people time with all these crazy stuff that I'm hearing. Liberia's not serious to fight drugs, man. I don't want to waste my time.
Stephen Keller, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, but I will respond to that question based on our sister, Mrs. King Towett statement that the government is, the administration is, has serious people, some serious people that want to improve Liberia. Nobody is saying that the government don't have people that want to improve Liberia, my sister. But what we are saying is these things should be planned and executed appropriately in order such that people don't feel marginalized. Bucky Raw was arrested for possessing a small quantity of drug, something that he purchased to smoke. He wasn't purchasing it to sell. So my question for that arrest is, are we banning the smoking of weed in Liberia, right? If it's on a book that said nobody should smoke weed, then if anybody import weed in Liberia, or if anybody plant the weed crop in Liberia, that person should be arrested. So that's where the whole discussion should be coming from, like Sapolosia said. But if we're not having that discussion and somebody go and purchase this thing and you is permitted to smoke in the country, then is a problem. You understand? So I think the question the government should be asking itself or should make clear to the public is, when you are in Liberia, anybody we smell weed on, we will arrest you. You're not supposed to smoke weed. We're not supposed to. Yeah, because the thing can hide, the same can hide, right? So if it's the law in Liberia that you're not supposed to smoke weed, then anybody who possesses it has to be arrested, right? But if that law is not on the book, then arresting Bucky was wrong. You understand? But if the law is on the book that says possession of marijuana is a crime, then it's okay that the government arrested him and he should face the justice, whatever punishment it has to be levied on him for possessing, it should be levied on him. But going back to what I stated, the police department or Liberia Investigation Bureau, whatever they call themselves, have to go to the source of where the problem is. We have our children taking a whole lot of different drugs in Liberia that are making them turn into crazy people, that they're making them to live in the graveyard. Where is the source of these things coming from? That's what we need to start targeting and try to eradicate this thing from our system, because it's impacting our youth, it's impacting our future leaders.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Sabalusia. And let me go back to a comment that King is actually making here. And I like King's opinion. King is coming from a place of this perspective, outside perspective. And no one is saying one view or another is wrong, but we want to look at the totality of what we're saying. Now, this point that King is making is drug is a global problem. America is the number, I think King meant to say number one. America is the number one consumer of drugs in the world. Is Trump responsible? I don't like when we blame Boakai. I think that's the point that King is making. Okay, so I want to address this particular point here. So King, the problem here is, we do understand drug is a global problem. It is a global problem. Even here in the great United States of America, there are people who are on drugs. And these people, they have wasted years, they have wasted their lives, and a lot of horrible things have happened with drug addiction in this country. And every state is responsible to have its own drug program. Every county, every little jurisdiction in America, we all have that. We're fighting against it and we're doing stuff. Some of us work with people with those addiction issues as well. We get it. It is a global problem. It is a big issue. However, though, anytime you have the head of an administration, today when we talk about drugs, we'll say the Trump administration needs to put in policy, da 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 da. And so we will always go to the head. So whether you get personal, you say you don't want us to blame Bwaka, I'm sorry, brother. Bwaka is the head of the government. Bwaka is the father of the nation. Bwaka is the president of Liberia. And as a result, we'll always say Bwaka administration. He signed up for that job. He signed up for the job. And because he signed up for the job, we always going to reference him. When Weah was there, we did the same thing for Weah. When Ellen was there, we said, Ellen, you, the head of the nation, you take the blame. Yes. So Trump will be responsible when right now, people are not celebrating Christmas. I don't want to change my story here, but people are struggling in America. Most people are struggling financially. And Christmas is not the way it used to be. And who are they blaming? They are blaming Trump for his economic policies. So yes, the president will always be that person. So King, don't get your feelings hurt when we call Bwaka's name. He is the father of the nation. He is the father of the country. He is the president. And when anything good happens in the country, they always come out. Kula Fofana, the press secretary, always come out and give us the good news. The president is doing this and this. So why shouldn't she come out and say the president is dropping the ball when it comes to drug fight? We'll always reference the president. I just want to address that point.
No, and somebody back in us here, we never even called the president name in the drug thing when we're saying, I said the National Police or the Liberia Investigation Bureau, right? They have people that the Justice Ministry, whoever is heading the drug, the LDA, Liberian Drugs Enforcement, all those people, they are the one enforcing the law. So if they are the one enforcing the law, they have to go from where the root cause is. If you want to solve a problem, drug around the world, nobody can eradicate drug because people, almost everybody, even the United States now is putting in measures to say, since we put a whole lot of people in jail for marijuana, we're going to legalize it in certain states and at least try using it for medical purposes, right? So they're trying to find other good measures to use this product because there's some benefit offer humanity. So people trying to find that out. So if the Liberian government is pursuing the same route, then they need to say, all right, where is the root cause of this? If we are saying marijuana should not be smoked in Liberia, whoever planting marijuana, whoever selling marijuana, we will find that person and arrest them. We have not seen any seller or any dealer of drug arrested yet, right? To say that person is arrested and put in jail. And like my brother said, there's so many occasions we have heard that drugs were coming in the country that were owned by some big people, and those things got swept under the rug. So who is the government trying to help here? Is it the common people or is it the elites?
Yeah. Sabalusa, go ahead, boss. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. You know, the sad thing about our community is that we believe in individual loyalty than our country loyalty. And I'm loyal to Liberia. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you think about me. My priority is Liberia. It's not Bwaka. It's not a political party. It's none of those things. Until if you call yourself a patriot, your country should come first. It doesn't matter who is in power. Okay? It can be my father in power if he's doing the wrong thing. And I listened to one former president's son before, in which it got me to understand that yes, that's how it should be. This person knew that yes, their father was their father, but they did some things that were wrong, and they admitted and they apologized for it. The country should come first, not this individual. Bwaka is going to go tomorrow. The next president that can't going to go, but Liberia still remains. And for me, that's who I'm patriotic to. I am loyal to the Republic of Liberia and not no individual and not no political party. So until Liberia start to rethink and reboot our mind, we'll continue to suffer. Because as we come and speak for our people, somebody is indicating one individual. Mr. Booker is in his 80s. He got less than, if you gain the longest life, 30 years to go. But you got this young generation who are 15, 16 years and their life is being destroyed. Who do you prioritize? An 80-year-old man or the 15, 16-year-old life who got more way to go? Who can contribute more to Liberia than the man who is already almost in his grave? I'm sitting here, I'm almost in my grave. I'm not talking for me. I'm talking about children who are coming out, who are young people. Those are people we should be fighting for instead of you trying to play your blind loyalty. And I'm not talking to this individual on here. I'm just talking in general before they take it personal. Generally, that's how most of us think, Liberians. Once they're loyal to some political party or some individual, they take them above the country. We need to stop this because it's not helping us. Chancellor is gone. People are loyal to him. Where is he? But Liberia is still going. So when we address these issues, let us look at who we're talking about. It's not the individual. It's the institution that we can build to make a better country.
And
All right,
Terry, let me ask something quickly. It'll be short. To King, for this platform, what we endeavor to do for Liberia is to look at the best for Liberia, not just the person in office. So we are basically non-political. We do our best here to try to push what is best for Liberia. Like what we are talking about. You and myself, I don't know if you were born with silver spoon in your mouth, King, but for some of us in Liberia, we had to sell donuts. We had to sell things to help our parents to pay our school fees. So some of the things that we are talking here, they have a ban on children selling. Is it right or is it wrong? Or should the government put in measures for the parents before they put that ban in place? These are the things that we are talking. So maybe you should call in to kind of tell us what is wrong with the discussion we are having, other than just talking about the pape or the president and stuff like that. Sharif, go ahead.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us and those who actually contributed to the discussion through their messages. King, Dr. Sibi, Beckel, and I saw one ambassador, and I also saw Gertrude Sherman, and I can go on here for a little bit, but I just want to say thank you, everybody, Dennis, and everybody who actually contributed with a comment. Thank you so much. And again, gentlemen, as we wrap this up, you guys got to pay me extra because you are 3 minutes above my time. So, Mr. Keller, I will start with you. I will give you 1 minute to give us your closing, and then Sapalusi, I'll give you 1 minute to give your closing. And you go above 1 minute, I'm gonna cut you off.
So, you want me to set my own timer?
Go ahead, boss.
All right. All right, fellow Liberians, again, thank you so much for watching us this afternoon. Merry Christmas to all of you. My Christmas on here, not easy in America here. Yeah, please send me my Christmas from Liberia or wherever you are around the world. But we are talking about the betterment of our country. Our hope is that someday Liberia can be one of the greatest countries in the world where our children have a better future, where our children can go to school and learn, where our children can start thinking about innovation, like they're talking about AI now, they're talking about all these great technology, and our children on the streets selling. What is the root cause of that problem? Who is causing that? Is it the government? Is it a family member? Or who in our country is causing that? Imagine this. You are a parent. You don't have money to feed the family. You have a business. You need help. You solicit your children's help to help you. And the government is saying that is wrong. To a parent, they'll say that is wrong. So who is wrong in this whole situation here? Our goal here is to kind of stand in the middle and say, hey, Mr. Government, before you blame the parent, this is what you need to do. Provide public schools near those children so the children can go to school. Make the schools free so that parents at least can say, all right, I don't have money, I can send my children to school. At least provide some incentive. We have rubber, we have gold, we have diamond, we have all these resources. When those money come, the profit we made as a country, let's put out $10 for parents that don't have job. At least provide something, help them to start businesses so that people can start doing something to help take care of their family. This is what we are advocating on this platform. Let's create value for our people. And our Liberia is not just Monrovia. So whatever policies we are making in Monrovia, let's make sure that we include the people in the rural areas. We need schools, real functioning schools in the rural areas too. not just Monrovia. So when we pass this kind of law, the person that is in a village that is only a farm, what are we saying to them? So on this note, I just want to say thank you to all of you for watching us today. Please share the show, invite your friends, follow us on YouTube and on Facebook. At least help us this year. Let's reach our numbers so that we can be able to do more for our country. Again, thank you so much to my team, and thank you to everybody for contributing. Those of you who contributed, thank you so much. You have a wonderful day. Merry Christmas, and y'all don't forget my Christmas on your. I got Cash App, Venmo, all those stuff. Y'all can see my late.
Oh, well.
Sapolosia is
So,
your town.
okay. So, thank you, gentlemen, for that discussion. And I want to say thanks to the Liberian people that joined us today, or those that love our country that joined us. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and your opinions. As we sit on here, we are not experts. We just believe in Liberia. And if Liberia shall rise, it takes a collective effort of every one of us. We have to do that, identifying those deficiencies that we have in our country and correcting them. Anything outside of that, we are just pushing the can down the road for another man to add onto it and keep making or exacerbating our issues or our concern or our problems. So, Liberians, this is a Christmas season. Like my brother Steven said, I think Sherry said the same. America is hard this year. We want to say, you say, oh yeah, Christmas, yeah. Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, joyous Christmas. Celebrate, share with your friends, enjoy your time, and we love you and I wish you a prosperous 2026 to come.
Thank you, Mr. Sapalucia. We appreciate you. Thank you, boss man. Bring bring your faces on the show, gentlemen. Everybody come on the show. You guys come in. Look, guys, everybody that came on the show, Lord, we said thank you guys for your comments. You guys, we do the show for you guys. We do it because you tune in and you actually care. And the topic we discussed today, though, I want to go back to that topic. We begin with, should the government ban young children from selling? The government should actually do its due diligence, do your work, and find out how many of those young people are not in school, and how can you help to get those students in classroom. Because myself, each of these guys on the show, each of these guys, they were in school, but they were selling. When you saw them selling, you never knew they were in school. I saw Sapalucia many times. He had his little wheelbarrow. He put all his little market inside, and he's selling. He's pushing it, selling under Ministry of Education, wherever. I knew that for a fact. Stephen Park, I can't even talk about him because I don't know his much story. But he said he hustled. So, but I know he hustled. I mean, we all hustle. So we did it. And one of the things I want to tell you, Mr. Government official, whoever representatives are, each of us who were selling were doing stuff. But our parents and those of us even who didn't have parents, they made sure that we went to some of the best schools. Each of us on this platform came out of private institutions, good schools at the time. And even though we're selling donuts, we all here on this particular platform, we finished top 10 or top 15 in our class, graduating class.
I was number one in my class, yeah. Let me
there you go. There you go. So we
Mr. Sincerity.
we all graduated. We all graduated and we pursue higher education. Because we were selling, that doesn't mean we were not in school. You didn't know our story. We were doing our thing and we're still in school. So to put a blanket law out there to say young people don't sell in the street, provide something for us. Because if you don't provide, who are you to come and tell me what to do if you can't provide for me? Are you going to feed my family? You're not going to do it. And also to the second topic we touched on, I know it was a short discussion, the drug issue in Liberia. It is a serious thing. We want our young people to grow up, to develop. And yesterday I saw a video that just warmed my heart. Two young children, they both attending Christ the King school. Those kids went out there, they were advocating for other kids. One day I'll bring them on the show. But they have children program in Liberia where these young people are advocating for children who do not have parents to send them to school. And these kids, smart, 14 years old kids, smart. And they are part of this organization speaking for other young people, asking the parents to do all they can to send their children to school. So, I mean, school issue, it is not a big deal. Government, you can you can stop your children from selling. However, though, believe me, if they don't have any outlet, if they don't have money to go to school, they will sit home. They will be illiterate and learning no selling skill. There will be electricians selling all skill. And so if you take them out of the street, have an alternative for them. Have an alternative for these young people. Don't just say, don't sell, go to classroom. Many people can't afford the schools that are running in Monrovia today. Every little church in Monrovia has a private school assigned to it right now. Every little corner, everybody got private school. Why? Because the government institutions cannot keep their doors open. The government institution cannot keep their doors open. So very far and few in between now, you find some students standing before you and say, I go to a government institute. And I want to say this. When we were going to school, Tubman High, there were government schools that I respected. When I hear that name, I said, man, I don't want to quiz against these guys.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I was part of my quizzing team in my school. But when it's time to play Tubman High, it's time to play some of the top government schools, you're scared because those schools, they stood for something. The ministers that you have today, whether it's Augustine Kwehe Gafuan, they went to government institutions and they can prove that those institutions work for them. But if the government institution can keep their doors open because every little mom and pop churches opening private schools,
government official opening private schools,
government officials opening private schools and all of that,
Minister of Education
opening private schools, then how do you, and let's say former Minister of Education, by the way, not the current Minister of Education,
not the current one, the former one.
So how do you tell the children stop selling, go to school?
Lawmakers opening universities.
Lawmakers opening universities.
Using the poor money.
So these are
trying to wrap up, man.
happening in the country. We can go on for another 10 or 1 hour just talking about these issues. Address the issue, like my panelists said. When the issues are addressed and the parents are not sending those kids to school, then you will have a leg to stand on. Until then, we say Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy 2026 to you. We'll be here next week. I'm not ready to give my happy 26. Next week, we'll be here. So Merry Christmas to you guys. And by God's grace, if we all work together, Liberia indeed will rise. Stay safe and God bless you. And we'll see you next week Sunday.
Thank you, gentlemen.